In today's show, let's recap a pretty busy Sunday with games and news and lots of interesting stuff going down in the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_Beeble and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. We also have shows for whatever your team is in the NBA. We've got a Locked On show to cover that, as well as NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, college sports, so many Locked On shows for you. It's a busy day in the NBA. There were 7 games on. That's not too busy, but news all over the shop, lots of interesting developments. We're going to do Watfo. We're going to do I Request Elaboration in today's show as well on a particular point guard from the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's going to be pretty interesting. So let's not muck around. Let's get straight into the news of the day. And DeAndre Hunter is out for 8 weeks. I know I just see my formatting on that graphic and that's annoying me. I'm going to have to change that. Yeah, that's better. That graphic looks much better. DeAndre Hunter is out for 8 weeks. He has to undergo surgery on his wrist to repair a tendon issue. He was already a drop in 12-team leagues. If you hadn't dropped him already, I don't know, you got no excuse now. He is a clear drop. And that makes Fanta Pants Kevin Huerter a 12-team ad. He will start. He will play 30-plus minutes. It strengthens Bogdanovic's role a little bit. It means Cam Reddish pushes back up. Now, I don't think Reddish is a 12-team league ad. He's struggling quite a bit at the moment. He's more of a 14-team league guy, whereas prior to that, he was probably a 16-team league guy. But Huerter moves into 12-team. It strengthens Bogdanovich in the 12 teams, and it pushes Reddish probably as a 14-team league ad. Bradley Beal is out again on Monday for personal reasons. That means streaming value there maybe for an Aaron Holiday. Kyle Kuzma gets a temporary bump in his production as well, but it is an 11-game day, but it is important to note that Beal is out. We don't really have an update on Jimmy Butler's ankle. He's missed the last 2. He's questionable again for Monday. We hope that it's not going to be too long, but we know that Butler's had some significant ankle injuries in the past, and he always seems to miss games, so hopefully he returns pretty quickly. Chris Middleton, in some positive news, he is likely back on Wednesday after his COVID diagnosis. No update on Brook Lopez as to when he's coming back, but it looks like Middleton will return. That will have an impact on Pat Connaughton and some sort of an impact on Grayson Allen as well. And lastly, Michael Porter Jr., your mate, Dr. Michael Malone, has said that, again, for the foreseeable future, Porter's out. Now, we don't know. We don't have any idea how far into the future that Malone can see, because last time he said that, Porter appeared on the injury report as questionable. Of course, Porter hasn't played since then, but we don't know exactly how long he is going to be sidelined for. I would safely assume that Porter won't play in week 5. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but that would be my assumption. MRI apparently came back clean, but we still don't know how long Michael Porter or Maga Porter Jr. is going to be sidelined, which of course is not great when we're trying to figure out where the value lies on that team.
I request elaboration.
All right, it's time to look at Tyrese Maxey, the Philadelphia 76ers starting point guard. Maxey has been ridiculous. Over the last 2 weeks, he's the 33rd ranked player, 44th in points leagues, averaging 36 fantasy points, averaging almost 20 points per game, with over 5 assists, 1 steal, but playing 40 minutes. So there's a big thing to look at here. Those numbers are great. 33rd ranked player is awesome. 40 minutes has 0 chance of sustaining, as does 48% from 3. So he's shooting 53 from the field, 48 from the 3, and 84 from the free throw line over those last 2 weeks. He's the 49th ranked player over the course of the season, playing 36 minutes a night. He's doing that on under 20% usage because, again, the shooting numbers for him have been ludicrously good. Now, remember, the last 3 games or so, last 4 games, in fact, no Joel Embiid. But his last 6 games have been 45, 44, 39, 39, 40, and 43 minutes. The last 3 games have been insane. 31 points on 50%, 33 points on 63%, and 24 points on 67%. It is a gigantic, massive, absolute standing out like dog's balls. Sell high for Tyrese Maxey. I still think he can be solid. I don't think he can remain a top 50 player. And some of the advanced stats will tell us that. He's been great. I loved him in the draft. I thought it was an absolute steal when they got him. But what he's doing now, and those current shooting numbers, they're just not going to maintain. He's actually 8th on this team in Raptor. In Raptor total and Raptor WAR. He's 8th. The only players in the regular rotation worse than him are Shake Milton and Tobias Harris, weirdly enough. He's worse than Drummond, Thibault, Embiid, Niang, Korkmaz, Green, Curry. He's got a -1 Raptor, mainly because his defense is so bad. Offensively, he's equal second on this team in Raptor, but his defense is graded out pretty poorly, and his Raptor WAR is way down the bottom as well. And that's not an encouraging sign. He's 7th in on-off on this team as a -5.8. That's 35th percentile in the NBA. He's 76th percentile in EPM. EPM's just put out, that's estimated plus minus. They have just put out their 2022 numbers. So that's a positive, and that's a big increase from where he was last year. And their metrics are actually liking him a lot more than what Raptor does. But his true shooting at 62%, it's going to be hard to stick. 64% at the rim, maybe that's going to be hard. 41% on threes, that might be hard to maintain. But what he has been able to do is really, really improve his value over this last week or two without Embiid, as his EPM and his effective field goal has actually risen in that time frame, which is very, very impressive to see. He's not shooting. He's not doing it on the basis of extraordinarily good mid-range shooting, so that's encouraging, meaning there is some level of being able to maintain what he's doing. He's doing it at attempts at the rim, which is getting to the rim a ton. And he's also making those shots at the rim at a really high rate. And that's important to note as well, that he is hitting those shots. Like, he's getting to the rim let's have a look here, 76th percentile in attempts at the rim, which is really, really impressive for a second-year guard. So there is some encouragement there. But a lot of the advanced stuff's not loving it. Like, EPM's probably the most encouraging. Darko DPM's got him at 234th, but his improvement this year has him 85th. He's changed from the beginning of the season to now, so he has improved quite a lot. But there is a lot of indicators here to me that would suggest that there is going to be a drop-off in some of his shooting numbers, the three-point shooting, the minutes, when Embiid comes back. So while he's been super encouraging, there is a realistic possibility that he falls back outside the top 100 over the next 3 weeks. So you look at it, enjoy it. We hope it continues, but those minutes, that shooting split, that all ties into unsustainability, and tying it in with some of the advanced stuff, which doesn't look at him as positively, I think is worth looking at. Now, he has cut down on his mid-ranges this season and improved his shot attempts at the rim, which is very, very encouraging. We want him to take some more threes because he is right down the bottom in terms of percentile of shots from three. But last year, he was in the 5th percentile from shots from three. He's 15th this year. So it's improving, but you need him to take way more from out there. So that is something to watch for with him in terms of production. But not great, but some not so positive indicators for him to maintain this level is probably the best way to phrase that. It's time for us to look at Watfo now. This one comes thank you to Aaron Lenecht, who is a big contributor, always in the chats and always in the comments. He says, what are the odds that Robert Covington finishes in the top 100? I did this before today's game, and I said 33%. I'm going to drop it down. I'm not going to officially drop it down because I put this up and I've stuck it into the spreadsheet. If I had to do it again now, it's 20%. I don't think he's getting there, to be honest. He's struggling. He looks cooked. Nassir Little's outplaying him. Nance is another option to use there. I just don't see that there's any way that Bob Covington finishes this season as a top 100 player. He's not a top 100 player now, and I don't really see him getting to that level, unfortunately. But what I do see getting to the absolute elite level, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is NBA DFS made easy. Instead of playing against other people, you're playing just against the predictions. It is the best NBA DFS prop provider on the market. It's not just the superstars. It's also the bench guys getting a couple of minutes per game that you can use. And whatever prop you can think of, points and threes and blocks and rebounds and assists, you can chuck them all together. Get 4 to 5 different prop over-unders. It's you against the predictions. Chuck them into a lineup, and you can get up to 10 times your entry back. And go and sign up using the promo code NBA, and you can get a 100% match deposit bonus up to $100 when you sign up. It's awesome. The entries are easy. They can be done in under 60 seconds, and withdrawals are safe and fast. So go to prizepicks.com, use the promo code NBA, or download the app from your app store. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You might recognize this problem. You've got your live sports you watch on one device. You've got your other on-demand shows you watch somewhere else. Highlights go on your phone, and then you've got your neighbor's login for the other good stuff. It's just a schmozzle. There's so much stuff all over the place. I want to tell you about a way you can get all your entertainment you love in one place and finally get your TV together. It's called Direct TV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. No more juggling remotes, and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there is no annual contract. So get rid of the confusion and the clutter and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can find out more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required, and content varies by package. Okay, so let's move straight on to the game recaps now. We're not going to do ads and drops because we did that in the waiver wire show earlier today. The first game of the day was the San Antonio Spurs. They lost to the Los Angeles Lakers 114-106. DeJounte Murray was excellent again. 38 minutes, 22, 10, and 10, 3 steals and a block. He's been one of the breakout stars of this year. We did him on elaboration last week, and most of the indicators are really positive for him moving forward, which is encouraging. It was a big game from Keldon Johnson. Awesome stuff. 24 points. 18 of those did come in the first half. But in true Keldon Johnson style, there were no steals and blocks, and that's being unfair to the bloke because he has had an increase in steals this year. 24 points, 6 triples, no free throw attempts, 6 rebounds and 2 assists. So it came on the back of some really good shooting, 67% from 3. He was 6 of 9. He's fine if you want the points boost in a 12-team league. I would use this to try and sell high on him because, again, the overall production does lack, and it did require some insane shooting to get here. And I think before this game, he was shooting 29% from 3. So to say it's an outlier would be a bit of an understatement. I don't think you can leave Devin Vassell anywhere on any waiver wire. 19 points, 30 minutes, 4 triples, 7 rebounds. 55% shooting. He's continuing to trend up. He can't be... Look, we said when the Pirtle news first came down, in fact, I think when the McDermott news came down, that we go and add Vassell and see where it goes. And it's just getting better and better. He's now 108th on the season. He's 91st over the last 2 weeks. And that's just 27 minutes a night. If he finds a 31-minute role, which he's not quite there, he'll smash the top 100. I really like what he's doing. I don't like what Derek White's doing.
Maximum Derek.
He continues to shoot horribly. Now, if we want to get the good stuff out of the way, 5 assists and 2 steals is fine. It's really good. But he didn't close the game. Vassell did. The usage remains low. The percentages remain abysmal. Now, there's 3-4 percentage point increase in field goals easy he can get from 38 to 42. He's like 10 percentage points under his free throw rate. Right, that can go back up. But will he actually get enough minutes to do it? He's still really positive in their advanced metrics, so I am still holding. But it is absolutely not trending in the right direction, and that worries me a bit. Drew Eubanks, drop him. They've only got 2 games this week. 2 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Pirtle will be back. You can drop him. Thad Young, I consider dropping. 17 and 9 in 26 minutes. What is his role when Pirtle returns? He should be playing, but he wasn't. So I don't know where he fits in. He is worth holding. The 2 games does make it a little bit tough, and if you do need that empty spot, I would drop him, say, over Derek White at this point as I knock off my coffee from where I'm recording. Never great to knock your coffee out. Not my real coffee, just my coffee statue. For the Lakers, Taylor Horton-Tucker started his first game of the season. 17 points, 4 rebounds, a triple-1. Yes, LeBron James was out. That is very important to note. But when LeBron is back, I don't know when that'll be. Probably this week, but we're not sure. Yeah, Horton-Tucker might move to the bench. But I think when we're looking at 12-team upside guys, he's a 12-team upside guy. Take a flyer, see what happens. Bazemore's been shithouse. Bradley's been shithouse. Malik Monk's been up and down. Rondo's been shithouse. Look, there's a role there for him to play 26 minutes a night at least. He's a grab. Westbrook had 14 points with 11 rebounds and 7 assists, while Davis had 34, 15, 6 with 2 steals and a block. And Anthony Davis is the 10th ranked player now over the last 2 weeks. The Duke Wayne Ellington, if you need 3-pointers, this dude's getting them. 15 points with 5 threes. He's not for everybody, But the minutes are way up there with Bazemore and Jordan out of the rotation. Ellington's got some juice. While Carmelo Anthony started, he had 15 points in 30 minutes, and we are seeing him start to drop away now. He still shot well, but the defensive stats, which had been at career high levels, have fallen off. No steals or no blocks here. He's a hold. He's a sell high, but I don't think he's going to remain as a 12-team league guy as the season goes on. Let's move on to the second game of the day, and that was the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks smash them in the end, 120-100. Drew Holiday was good, 19 points, 8 assists, 2 steals, and a block, while Grayson Allen continued his strong run. 61st ranked player over the last 2 weeks, 18 points with 4 threes. Now, Chris Middleton will return in their next game, it looks like. And we know at some point, DiVincenzo will come back. And it is going to knock off Allen's value. I would try and sell high on him if it's possible, but he is playing at a very high level. Punch Bob had 11 and 8 in 32 minutes. He's a must-roster player, while Paddy Connaughton had 32 minutes for 11 points. Connaughton's producing 12-team value. It will not last, I don't believe. Again, he's going to be the victim of having Middleton come back. So, stream him if you want, but no real point in holding. Well, Giannis, Giannis, mate, my guy.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
43% on 21 attempts is bad, especially for Giannis. 7 of 12 from the free throw line, 58% is atrocious. 26, 5, and 6 is good counting stats. A triple one is fine. But man, those counting stats, those percentages, that's dreadful. He's the 42nd ranked player over the last 2 weeks because he's had some bad percentage nights over that time frame. That's not ideal. Not much else going on with that Bucks team, but on to the Hawks. Trae Young, 32 minutes, 42 points, 8 triples, 10 assists, 62% shooting. He's now up to being the 8th ranked player this season. Really, really good stuff for him. Super impressive to see him putting up some really, really good numbers in this game. Well, Capella looks better too. 12 and 13 in 32 minutes, and the Baptist had 19 and 6 in 31. We talked about it already, but Fanapants played 33 minutes with DeAndre Hunter out. Kevin Huerter, 11 and 6. Now, that's an uninspiring line for sure. But again, the minutes is what I'm looking at, and that is worthy of a 12-team league roster spot. While Bogdanovic had 6 points, that's a real fart noise, for 30 minutes, while Reddish played only 17 minutes. He did have a leg contusion, so went to the locker room, but was able to return. But Reddish is outside the top 200 over the last 2 weeks, and I don't really look at him as a 12-team league ad, even with the Hunter injury, as I already mentioned. 26 minutes for the Italian cock in this game.
Hands up, my cock!
Gallinari had 10 points in 26 minutes with 2 threes, but not much else, and he's only really just a deeper league player at this point in his career. The Oklahoma City Thunder fall to the Brooklyn Nets. The game was probably a little bit closer than that final scoreline would leave you to believe. The Thunder got within 10 with about 5 minutes left. The Nets end up winning at 120-96. Durant was great, 33, 8, and 4, while Jim Harden, 16 points on 13 shots is rough. But he had 6 rebounds, 13 assists, and 3 steals to maintain good value. He's the 5th ranked player over the last 2 weeks, despite some shaky shooting nights. Joe Harris went down with an ankle injury. He played 14 minutes. He's a droppable player. You shouldn't have him in 12-team leagues. That meant that Patty Mills had an opportunity to go bananas. Now, don't overreact to this from Mills. 31 minutes is great. 29 points is excellent. 9 threes is astounding. It was on 63% shooting, including 75% from 3. He had 0 rebounds and 1 assist. He can be a great streamer for 12-team leagues for threes. He might start if Harris is out, but I wouldn't look at him as an absolute priority 12-team league guy. Aldridge was fine, 15 and 8. That's worthy of being a 12-team league player. While the Shark, Bruce Brown, had 6 and 7.
Baby shark,
and he's like a 14-team league guy only. On to the Thunder. Gilgeous-Alexander, 30 minutes, 23.6 rebounds, and 3 threes. Yeah, totally fine. Lou Dort with another solid scoring game.
No, my son is also named Bort.
He had some foul trouble, so he was down at 27 minutes, but 20 points, I think, for the 3rd consecutive game. 3 threes and a steal. 71st over the last 2 weeks. He probably should be a 12-team league category guy. He had 26 fantasy points in this one as well. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, another start. That's 2 in a row, and I think he starts tomorrow. 22 minutes for him, 2 points, 8 rebounds. Good deeper league ad. While Josh Giddey struggled for the about 3rd consecutive game. 6 points on 20% shooting, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. I am holding Josh Giddey. This was bad. There's no doubt about that, but I am holding him. The shooting is a worry, though. Baisley, who'd been playing well, played bad. 5 points on 15% is shitful. And yeah, he's only just that 14-team league guy. 12-team points league, probably, but a 14-team league category league player who's going to be up and down. And we saw the real down of it. While Pokusevski had 8 points in 20 minutes, he had a block, but he has really done nothing to majorly impress me at all this season. Fourth game of the day, the Charlotte Hornets. Now, in my pre-game projections, I actually had the Hornets winning this game, and I wasn't ballsy enough to put it into my Yahoo Best Bets article or even talk about it on the pre-game show. Wish I had have now in hindsight, but it obviously worked out. Just didn't have the balls to do it. Curry had some hand issues in this one. The final score was 106 Charlotte, 102 Golden State. Curry did have a trip to the locker room with his hand. He ended up with 55 fantasy points in return to the game and had 24, 6, and 10 with 3 steals and a block, but didn't shoot particularly well. Well, Draymond had 11, 6, and 6, and Wiggins had 28 and 6. A poor shooting night from Poole, who had 13 points in 29 minutes, but I guess the big change here was the play of John Kuminga. Only got 10 minutes, 3 minutes in the second half, but I thought he was pretty good out there. 9 points, 5 boards, 2 steals, and a block. He cut into Otto Porter's minutes, Damian Lee's minutes, and Nemanja Bjelica's minutes. Deeper leagues, 20s, 16s, I'd consider adding Kuminga. Defensively, he was disruptive. Kerr spoke about him pretty glowingly after the game. I'm not thinking he's going to be a 12-team league guy, but his ability to generate defensive stats was always one of the key things for him coming into the draft or coming through the draft process. We worried about what his efficiency would be and how many stupid turnovers he would make that would limit his on-court time. But if he can be disruptive defensively immediately, there is a role there for him. So just keep an eye on what he does. Gary Payton, the doctor, he is still rostered in far too many 12-team leagues, but he did get 2 steals, and he does have value as a steal streamer. On to the Hornets. LaMelo, I don't think he's ever going to miss free throws again, apparently. 21, 7, and 5 with 3 steals and 4 threes. 47% shooting. He remains excellent. While Terry Rozier had a nice empty, well, not really empty, actually, 20 points for him. No rebounds and 1 assist, but 1 steal and 2 blocks. Not often you get more steals and blocks than you do rebounds and assists, but that's what Rozier did. Good to see him have a nice, efficient scoring night. Well, same with Miles Bridges. 42 minutes for Bridges. 22 points with 8 rebounds. And Cody Martin played 28 minutes because Kelly Oubre was ejected. 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals. Martin is not a 12-team league player outside of a steal streamer. Oubre is not a 12-team league player either. So, Jack, what do you reckon?
Get that garbage out of here!
I agree. Oubre should not be rostered in 12-team leagues, I don't think. Plumlee, 6 assists is interesting. He's fine for some 12-teamers, but really not for most. While Hayward had a poor night, 10 points in his 31 minutes. We know that Thanksgiving is coming up. Thanksgiving is known for food. It's known for family, but mostly food, let's be honest. But a lot of that food, especially the dessert, is super high in calories. So, instead of that slice of pie, why don't you introduce Built Bar to your family gathering and start a new Thanksgiving tradition? Crack open a box, smell the 100% real chocolate on the bars, and know that you are digesting just 130 calories versus 300 plus for a slice of pie. You'll be the hero of Thanksgiving. Aunt Betty will be sitting over there and she'll be like going, oh, I wish I didn't have to eat this dessert, but it's so delicious. It's killing my cholesterol and my weight. And you go, Betty, relax. I've got just the thing for you. It is Built Bar. It is not only delicious, but it is going to cut down your calories in a gigantic proportion. She's going to go, Josh, you're a legend. I'm going to say, I am. But so are Built Bar. So go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 and save 15% on your boxes of Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar and Thanksgiving dessert ever. All right, let's go on to the next game. It is an absolute ass-kicking by the Phoenix Suns over the Rockets. They win at 115-89 in the end. JaVale McGee, 25 minutes, 19 and 14 with a steal and 3 blocks, replacing DeAndre Ayton. It wasn't Frank Kaminsky today. But I want to throw something out there just for discussion. I don't want to say I'm just asking questions, even though I am. But how come that in replacement of DeAndre Ayton, JaVale McGee is able to have big games, Frank Kaminsky is able to have big games, but DeAndre Ayton isn't? Maybe that's being a little bit too simplistic because Ayton can have some big games. If you got a 19 and 14 game with 3 blocks from Ayton in 25 minutes, you'd be Bones Hyland at it. You'd be firing up. If you got what Kaminsky was doing from Ayton, you'd be like, this is amazing. But when Ayton's out there, he can't do that. And again, maybe that's just me not picking out Ayton might do it 5 times out of 30, but these blokes are doing it like every second game. Why is that? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. And I don't know when Ayton's coming back either, to be honest. Monty Williams says it's a conditioning thing. All right. I don't even know what the bloody problem with his leg was to begin with. A conditioning from what? No one has actually told us what the problem was. Chris Paul continues to be insane. He is the 12th ranked player this year. He had 7 steals. My guy, calm down. In under 30 minutes. He's been ridiculous. And Booker continues with the big assists. 6 assists, 2 steals, 26 points. Shit shooting, but good scoring. Jay Crowder. Should we do it? Yeah, let's go.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
5 points, but he did have 2 blocks. And Mikal Bridges, I think it's a bit of a buy low for Bridges. No defensive stats, 14 and 6. Pretty rough numbers. He's only 91st this year. I wasn't quite as high on him as some others were this year, but I didn't think he'd be this bad. I think there's improvement to come from here for Bridges. It's just on this team, it does make it hard for him to really spread his wings. He's got a very, very defined role, and if he's not generating defensive stats, his overall fantasy numbers do suffer. Kaminsky had 6 points in 23 minutes. Yeah, he's fine as a streamer, Frankie, when DeAndre Ayton's out, but he's probably just going to go back to being out of the rotation later on. For the Rockets, there is some interesting stuff here. After the game, Stephen Silas was asked, are you looking at changing the starting lineup given how poor the starts have been to games? And Silas, ever elaborative and forthcoming, said possibly. What that means, I don't know. We all cross our fingers, cross our toes, tie our dick in a knot. That's how excited we are, hoping that it's Alperen Şengün that's going to start. But it could be as simple as Eric Gordon coming in and annoying the shit out of us. Maybe it's KJ Martin replacing Daniel Tice. I don't know. We hope it's Alperen Şengün. Just make sure Şengün is not on the waiver wire. He was great in this game, Şengün. 22 minutes, 10 and 10, 4 assists. Gordon had 12 points in 22 minutes. Good numbers. Well, KJ Martin, 6 points, 2 blocks. He can be a fantasy relevant player in 25 minutes. Whether they change the lineup or not for tomorrow, I don't know. But it is worth watching for sure. The wild thing, Jayshawn Tate was shithouse. 0 points in 21 minutes. He's under 30 for 3 consecutive games in minutes. His upside is very low. Like it's not that high. And if you want to move on, I don't think there's any problem with that. He'll have games where it's good and games where it's shithouse. If you want to move on, who cares? I don't think his upside is high enough to care enough. Tice had 8 points in 18 minutes. You can drop him in 12 team as well. Wood had 17 and 8. He's just been a consistent disappointment. But if you want to talk consistent disappointments, do we go to Kevin Porter or Jalen Green first? Cousin Kev had 12, 6 and 6 with 2 threes and 2 steals. And guess what? He was shithouse at shooting. 33%. We knew he would be bad at percentages. I didn't think he'd be this bad, this consistently. Like, I was one of the lowest people on Kevin Porter in terms of his on-court ability. But I still thought he could put up good fantasy numbers. So far, I've been very wrong on that. Like, very wrong. He's the 161st ranked player. I would not drop him, but I think most people would grasp the fact that he's not as good of a prospect as many were hyping him up to be. And I obviously got it wrong on his fantasy projection so far for this season. Jalen Green's been shit as well. 12 points on 29%. There are flashes there, but this is not a top 200 player so far. Actually, it's not true. 195th. And it's getting worse. I am still holding. I'll hold till Thanksgiving probably. And I think he will come in with some top 100 numbers later on. But at this point, he's just lost. Like, he's just got no idea. And the shooting is just way off. It's nowhere near where it needs to be. And if you're not doing anything else, then what's the point of you? If you're in a real hole, like you're 1-3 after 4 weeks, and you've got Green and Porter stinking your lineup up, one of them's got to go, I think. I don't think you can continue to hold 2 absolute turd sandwiches. Not talking about them as blokes, but in terms of their fantasy contribution, I don't think you continue to hold them. The Rockets are dreadful, man. They're 1-10 now for the season. They are really, really quite bad. Is there anything more to talk about with Houston? I reckon that might have covered all of it. Let's go on to the next game of the day and some other interesting developments in this one. The Portland Trailblazers got smashed by the Nuggets, 124-95. Well, the Portland Trailblazers didn't have Damian Lillard, that's true. The Nuggets also didn't have Michael Porter Jr. or Will Barton. The Blazers are in disarray. I do not think Chauncey Billups has been a good coach so far, and I'd say the results have borne that out. Simon started for Lillard, 28 minutes, 16, 5 and 4. He is a must-grab player, but Lillard literally might be back next game. We just don't know that. Nassir Little, I think, is worth a grab, at least in 14-team leagues. He had 13 and 7 with 3 threes, 2 steals, and a block. And I'm going to say something that might be controversial. I think he's better than Robert Covington. He's the 146th ranked player this year. Covington's 137th, and they are going absolutely in the opposite directions. Don't be surprised if at some point Little takes over from Covington. It might be some rough times in the interim, but he's worth a look. Norman Powell had 13 points, rough night from him. While Dennis Smith, while Lillard's out, deeper leagues, look at Smith. He is not going to score anything. It's like Killian Hayes. But 5 assists and 3 steals, he's been a steal menace the last 2 years. Really good stuff. As for Covington, 3 points in 19 minutes. I know I'm always hesitant to say I'm going to drop him because he will come back with a hot streak, but what I think is that the hot streaks this year will be less frequent and they'll last for shorter periods of time. In a 10-team league, I think you can Jack Armstrong him. In a 12, I'd be hesitant, but if he is your worst player and it's not remotely close, then he's got to go. It's just not working. Larry Nance, obviously not a 12-teamer, and just a shocking night from Yusuf Nurkic too. He just got wrecked as he was trying to get revenge on the Nuggets. A revenge game. 4 points in 21 minutes for Nurkic and 6 rebounds. It was bad, man. It was just really bad. And despite some of the struggles of Nurkic, he is the 56th ranked player this year. So for all of the, he's been, what a bust, what a disaster. He's ranked 56th, and you probably drafted him in the 50 to 60 zone. So he hasn't, but it is frustrating knowing that there is so much more that he could do if he got the minutes. And unfortunately, he doesn't. For the Nuggets, Big Chungus, Nikola Jokic.
Big chungus.
He remains ridiculous. 28, 9, and 9, although he has been overtaken, I think, for number one in category leagues by Steph. Big game from him in 27 minutes. But let's talk about the big stiffy. We talked about him in the waiver wire show earlier today. I talked, you listened more accurately. With Will Barton, and I said, if Will Barton gets hurt, sky's the limit. Will Barton got hurt. He was in warm-ups, hurt his back, and didn't play. Hyland only played 23 minutes, but this was a blowout. Jokic only played 28. All right, 18 points, 4 triples, 3 assists, and 2 steals. You cannot leave Bones Hyland on the waiver wire. You got to grab him until we figure out what's going on with Barton, but he's just too good to not have a role. You got to grab him. I think Monty Morris has some at least 14-team appeal. 15, 7, and 4 with 3 steals for Monty. And Aaron Gordon struggled. 11 points in 29 minutes. And Austin Rivers, who was the spot start for Barton, had 2 points. Hyland is better than Dozier, than Campazzo, than Rivers. He's better than these guys already. Vision, shooting, scoring. You got to grab him in all 12-team leagues, I think. The Barton injury, it's opened it up. It's there. It might not work out, but you got to grab him. That's what the point is. It's not about this is guaranteed to happen. You have to grab him to see what happens from here and to see what his role is and to see where Malone pushes him into the rotation. He's not leaving the rotation. Forget that bullshit. He's in it. But is he 20 minutes or is he 25? If he's 25, he's a 12-team league option, I think. And we'll see how that all plays out. But he has been super impressive after the nonsense that was Michael Malone not playing him to begin the season, which was obviously stupid at the time and looks stupider now in hindsight. All right, let's go to the last game of the night. We are looking at, who are we looking at? The Chicago Bulls and the Indiana Pacers, Jesus Christ. The Chicago Bulls and the LA Clippers. The Bulls win it on the road against a team that was playing really well. The Clippers 100-90. DeMar DeRozan was awesome again in 38 minutes, 33 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. That's insane efficiency, 73 from the field and 91 from the line. Well, Levine had 29 points, including a questionable shot late that really sealed the game. It was a weird shot, but it went in. 29 points, 6 triples, and 7 rebounds for Levine. Caruso elevated into the starting lineup. I have to think that this is something to do with the fact that Kobe White's going to return tomorrow. 39 minutes for Caruso. Only 7 points, but 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block. He shot 18%, so obviously could have been a lot better. He still remains a 12-team league guy on the basis of his assists and steals, though. Lonzo Ball struggled a bit, 10-5 with 3 assists and 3 steals, but that's still not too bad. 29% is terrible. And Javonte Green moved to the bench. Had some nice plays, but for fantasy, he doesn't mean much. And again, White is going to play. And that means Green and Desomnu are going to lose out. Now, Desomnu played in some closing lineups in this game, or towards the end of the game. He had 6 points in 19 minutes, while Tone Bradley had 4 and 5 in 24. Bradley still remains a bit of a streamer if you need some big man stats with Vooch on the sidelines. For the Clippers, Paul George was great, 27 and 11, as was Eric Bledsoe, another big game from him, 36 minutes, 21 and 6 with 2 triples. At this point, Bledsoe is a 12-team league guy. That may change, but he was great. While Zubats only played 23 minutes but had 4 blocks. The 23 minutes concerns me a little bit, considering Serge Ibaka wasn't there, but his numbers are good enough to be a 12-team league guy, as are Batum's, who had 5 and 7 with 2 assists, a steal, and a block. Stinking night shooting-wise for Reggie Jackson. Just 24% for 13 points, but 3 threes, 2 steals, a block. Remains a 12-team league guy. And I don't think that Terrence Mann is. 8 points, 2 triples for him. He's getting a lot of minutes. He's not really doing all that much with them. And I just don't see how he turns that into being a 12-team league type situation. Now, let's have a look and update here on the Locked On Championship League, the Roto League. We'll do the head-to-head one tomorrow. The Beloveds still leads. My team is in 4th. Actually, they just jumped up to 3rd on the final siren of that last game. So we're up to 3rd. We are 32 games, I think, behind the team in 2nd place and 27 games behind the team in 1st. I am a fair distance behind them in terms of Roto points. That team, the Beloveds, they're well ahead, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to come home pretty strong in this situation. And then it is time, of course, for the monstrous line of the night and the other lines of the night. The monstrous line of the night is Trae Young. The waiver wire line of the night is JaVale McGee, who has streaming value while Ayton is out. The young gun of the night, of course, is LaMelo Ball. And the dud of the night goes to Mr. 13% himself, Darius Bazley. Let's look at the top producers across category leagues and across points leagues today then. Number 1 was Young. Anthony Davis was 2. Big Chungus was 3. JaVale was at 4. Steph was at 5. Durant was at 6. DeRozan at 7. James Harden at 8. DeJounte Murray at 9. And Paul George at 10. In terms of guys rostered in under 50% of leagues, McGee, then Patty Mills, then Bones Hyland, the big stiffy. Monty Morris, we know that those guys at 12 and 14-team league respectively, I think adds for Hyland and Morris. Anthony Simons is a short-term 12-team ad. Nassir Little is an interesting 12-team league ad. Don't be surprised after Chauncey Billup's post-game comments that Little moves into the starting lineup. I wouldn't be shocked with that. PJ Dozier, Wayne Ellington, Taylor Horton-Tucker, who can be a short-term 12-team ad, and then Eric Gordon. Then lastly, in points leagues, top 10 were Davis, Young, Murray, Steph Curry, Durant, Jokic, Paul George, McGee, DeRozan, and Devin Booker. That will do it for us today. Check out Locked On Hawks while you're at it. They might have some more information on the DeAndre Hunter wrist injury. Be good to check in on those guys. Well, not those guys, just Brad. Brad hosting Locked On Hawks over there. Don't forget to follow this podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. If you're on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.